Good evening and welcome to the February 22nd board agenda.
Good evening.
Good evening.
A quorum has been established and I call the meeting to order. I now call for a moment of silence. Thank you. Next, board chair announcements. For announcements, I just need to remind the public that the March 8th meeting, we will not be having a March 8th meeting because that is during our spring break. So our central services staff will be on break as well as all of our students. So we will have one combined meeting on March 22nd. So both the business meeting as well as the work session will be held in the month of March on March 22nd. Are there any other announcements from any other board members? Okay. That concludes the announcements from the board members. At this time, we'll have updates from the superintendent.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll just say a few updates. First, regarding masking in the Warren County school system, we've seen over the last couple of days some fairly swift movement, both from our governor and the legislature regarding masking in schools. We've seen several boards already take some action. We are still currently reviewing the recommendations coming from the governor as well as the Department of Health and Human Services. We're also working very closely with our local health department to continue looking at the data with regard to vaccinations and the status of positive cases in our county. We will be implementing the recommendation from North Carolina DHHS, which is also in the toolkit regarding the no contact tracing and quarantines. That guidance was scheduled to, their recommendation was for that to be implemented starting or no earlier than February 21st. We will implement that recommendation here in Warren County Schools starting March 1st. After that, we will continue to review the data and the impact of the no quarantining on our students and contact tracing. And at our March 22nd meeting, we will bring a recommendation to the board for the board to make a decision with regard to masking, which is in compliance with the current guidance meeting of the request to make a decision each month. Obviously, there is in the governor's order that districts will no longer have to make a decision after this particular legislation. We won't have to make that vote each month, but because we will not have our meeting on March 8th, as was just announced by the board chair, we will be making that decision or recommendation to the board on March 22nd. So you'll hear from us more at that time regarding the status of masking in Warren County schools on March 22nd. Second item, it is that time of the year where we start receiving invitations for scholarship awards in our community. And in usual and annual fashion, the Warren County NAACP will be awarding two $1,000 scholarships to graduating seniors from any public school, public high school in Warren County. Some of the criteria include you have to be a current resident in Warren County and accepted at a post-secondary regionally accredited institution. That can be a 2-year or 4-year college or university. The application package includes the typical things such as a high school transcript, 2 letters of recommendation, and a short essay explaining the student's chosen course of study. We are working with the members of the NAACP, the Warren County branch, as we will hold some meetings and workshops to help students understand and complete that application. For further information, contact Dr. Dolores German or Dr. Cosmos George, and I think the deadline for those packets must be received on or before April 29th for their review. So please see your guidance counselor. Guidance counselors, we will be sharing more information with you regarding availability and access to applications for the Warren County NAACP's annual scholarship award. And last but not least, the month of February is Cte Month. Cte, of course, it stands for Career and Technical Education. The governor has put together a proclamation for Career and Technical Education Month. That proclamation reads as follows: whereas career and technical education prepares students and young adults to succeed in academics and careers in both established and emerging industries, and whereas the mission of North Carolina Secondary Career and Technical Education is to empower all students to be successful citizens, workers, and leaders in our global economy, and whereas career and technical education programs help students become the skilled workers employers need to perform the jobs of today and tomorrow, and whereas career and technical education programs in North Carolina provide education for all students in the areas of agriculture, business, finance, and marketing, career development, computer science and information technology, family consumer sciences, health science, trade, technology, engineering, and industrial education. And whereas North Carolina Career and Technical Studies organizations such as DECA, Future Business Leaders of America, Family Career and Community Leaders of America, the National FFA Organization, HOSA Future Health Professionals, Skills USA, and the Technology Student Association support the work of career and technical education programs to develop character, citizenship, leadership, and technical skills essential for students who are preparing for the workforce and further education. And whereas along with North Carolina's 16 career clusters and over 70 state-supported career pathways, career and technical education programs aid in our state's workforce development efforts, and whereas the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act demonstrates the crucial mission of these initiatives to enhance student readiness for successful careers and strengthen North Carolina's workforce. Now, therefore, I, Roy Cooper, Governor of the State of North Carolina, I'm not Roy Cooper, but our Governor, Roy Cooper, do hereby proclaim February 2022 as Career and Technical Education Month in North Carolina and commend its observance to all citizens. So again, just wanted to take that opportunity to recognize Career and Technical Education Month in the month of February. We have with us our Career and Technical Education Director, Mr. Jrotc. He's also often supported by Mr. Stanley Harrell, who is also here. And we have been working diligently to not only improve but enhance our career technical education offerings in Warren County schools. We currently have 513 students in both our middle school and high school CTE courses, and we offer courses in the areas of business, personal character and careers, keyboarding, others introduction to computer science, construction professionals, foods and nutrition, health sciences, marketing. So we have a host of classes and courses that we offer, and we're looking to continue to enhance those things in the areas of sports and marketing, entertainment marketing, hospitality and tourism, certified nurse aide, animation. We're reviewing many of these things, other trades such as welding, and we hope to be able to offer these and other types of classes both through computer simulations and other virtual types of offerings so that we can offer to our students an even more robust and improved offering. We just received notification this week of a grant that we received from Lockheed Martin and a nonprofit organization, PLTW, for $10,000 to help us implement more computer science and cybersecurity courses next year in the 22-23 school year. So we'll be using that funding and additional funding to, again, provide a more robust offering to our students. So thank you for your work, Mr. Falk, and your team, our CTE teachers throughout the district. And again, congratulations on a great CTE month for the month of February. Thanks for all you do. That concludes my updates.
Great, great. Next, I call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
What I meant, right?
Okay. For the consent agenda, I need to amend the agenda for tonight. We have 2 action items. We have an in-kind donation request for the elementary schools from the Girl Scouts, and we have a fundraiser request from the high school, both needing board approval. So I need to add those to the agenda. So I'd like to amend the agenda before we vote on approving the agenda.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, I make a motion that we amend the agenda to add the in-kind and the fundraiser to the February 22nd, 2022 board agenda.
Second. Bird.
Motion's been properly made by Board Member Tolly Brain, second by Board Member Byrd, that we amend tonight's agenda to include the 2 action items. Any question? Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now we will approve,
Just give me a
The-
second to catch up with you.
okay.
Good now?
It's not.
Now we got to refresh.
Oh, okay. Please refresh your screens.
And now,
Okay.
It's the same thing.
are we good now?
Refresh.
Which one? You guys
have
log
to
in,
log
please.
in.
I did.
Oh, I thought I haven't. I have in-kind donations and fundraisers.
She said she's not showing what you logged in.
I should have said, that way.
Okay.
They wanted us to refresh, and then I guess I'll join. the
Okay,
meeting.
we're good? Okay.
We're supposed to be going to work session.
Must did it right, huh?
Join meeting now?
Yeah, I was in, but I didn't know which.
On mine, it doesn't show that she's added it.
So it is now asking me for,
Superintendent update. I think it's got to catch up a minute.
right, okay, okay. I'm going to the
Back to
consent agenda now.
superintendent updates.
But I wasn't.
At this time, I call for,
vote the last
is Ms. Birdie in, Ms. Pettaway? She's in, she's in. We need to go back through that? You need me to go to the approval of the agenda, consent agenda?
So what do you see now on your screen, Sam? Superintendent's update?
Uh-huh.
That's what I see.
Mhm.
So I may have to catch up with you.
Same thing as up there.
Yeah. Is it? Would you do it again? Okay. Do you want us to re-log in?
Okay.
No problem.
Layman or Bird? Which one you pointing at?
Mine just didn't update yet. Let me go back all over.
Okay.
It's not letting me
Are you seeing
join.
superintendent updates?
That's all I see.
Me too.
That's what I
Superintendent
see.
updates?
It's not letting me join. Let me log out again. Okay, now it's letting me join. Okay, I'm at superintendent's updates.
Right. I'm seeing what's on the screen.
Yeah, I had to log out again. Thank you.
Okay, can I move on?
Now we have to approve the amended agenda, right? Amended. If I'm not mistaken, we have to approve the amended agenda. Ask him. I think you have to.
All you do is next and you go to consent. Next item.
Just missing with this 102222022.
So I gotta do it again?
Agenda,
Refresh, okay.
calling for a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we approve the amended agenda.
Second?
Motion's been properly made by Vice Chair Lehman, second by Board Member Byrd, that we approve the amended agenda. Question? Hearing none, would you vote, please?
It's not coming up.
Well, it's there now.
What do you see now?
Under action items, 8.6, in-kind donations and fundraisers.
See, all I still see is the superintendent's update to the board. That it?
Right, it's not there for us to vote for.
Can we just do it verbally? and move
Yeah,
on?
can we just vote, can we please vote by raising your hand?
Aye.
So I don't know where you, because I don't have agenda list.
Yeah, that's when you're going in, but I'm already in.
Who you have on your screen?
Board Member Talley.
When did you see the action?
Approval agenda. Same
I
thing.
didn't, that's why I said I don't see them. They usually are right down here. They added, right?
That's okay, let's do by raising your hand. All those in favor of amending the agenda,
Vote here?
vote by raising your hand, please. All in favor, motion passes. Now I call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Motion's been properly made by Board Member Byrd, second by Vice Chair Lehman, that we approve the consent agenda. Question? Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Public comment? We have none. The next thing on our agenda, we have an information item. We have a presentation from Rhythm Incorporated.
So as Mr. Kennedy, I want to introduce Mr. Darren Kennedy, who is with Rhythm Incorporated. This is in continuation of our focus on social emotional learning. As you saw in our last meeting, we talked about the importance of focusing on the social emotional health and wellness of both our students and our teachers and faculty and adults in the building. Rhythm is an application that we are considering implementing on a permanent basis. We're starting with a pilot over the next couple of months, but this program will offer a daily check-in that our teachers can use. That is a quick 1 to 2 minute opportunity for them to check on the social, emotional health, and well-being of our students, and they respond to that with an emoji. I mentioned that in our last meeting. So Mr. Kennedy is here to show us more about this app and Rhythm, so I'll turn it over to him. Welcome, sir, to Warren County Schools.
Thank you. Welcome, welcome. I'll do my best to get through this mask
You can take it in.
and stay loud.
You're away from us. You can take, yeah.
Okay.
You can.
Awesome. All right. Well, to Mr. Sutton, distinguished board members, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to come in by way of Nashville, Tennessee, and then to drive over from 401 and saw quite a bit of cows and pine trees. Always good to be back in the great state of North Carolina. I'm not going to hold you long. Just to let you know a little bit about me, I'm a former middle school and high school principal, central office administrator in the great state of Tennessee, by the way of New Jersey. So Rhythm was founded 3 years ago by two best friends who are now spreading like wildfire across the country. They're in 27 states, 2,000 schools, and 1.25 million users. It was developed by a former clinical psych, and his job was to actually see students away from school, outside with referrals from school. And his best friend from high school actually was in business and ed tech. They said, hey, let's save and serve the world. And it is spreading. We all now are representing to try to get our program in all 50 states. So got a little bit ahead of myself, but we totally align with your district initiatives with high student performance, safe and orderly schools, and quality teachers, administrators, and staff, 100% aligned. Hopefully you will see the wellness for your teachers and staff by the use of the tool. So what have student wellness programs looked like in the past? As a former admin, lack of data, very little information, time-consuming, focus on the masses versus on the individual. We all know that individualization works best in education, working on the individual and not things that are designed for the masses. And unrealistic time commitments, especially with the learning loss and closing the achievement gap. And so learning loss, achievement gap, but mental wellness, emotional wellness, social wellness is just important. And if we don't address that, then learning can't take place. Sure. Amen. Okay, so it's a daily wellness check-in tool. And so it's targeted for the individual. And so it's not for the masses. And your teachers get the information in real time. So in 30 seconds or less, your students are going to know who's angry, who's hungry, who's upset, who's anxious, and they can act on that information and be proactive and shape the culture before the culture shapes the school, which I've been there running down the hallway with a walkie-talkie. Could you advance? I'm stuck. Yep, yes, sir. So this is what the Emoji-based wellness tool looks like. And we ask 5 questions, 5 wellness questions, focusing on your mental wellness, your emotional wellness, your energy wellness, your physical wellness, and your social awareness. Takes 30 seconds to complete. Low lift, high impact for teachers. Teachers, all they have to do is say, get in rhythm. And students do it themselves. And after they complete, it is 100% targeted for the student. And so no video is the same for students. All videos are the same. There's an algorithm being built in the back as students click in real time. Students also have voice and choice. They can expand on their feelings, and so if they're sad, they can explain, or you have the option to just not have this text box on at all, but students can elaborate on how they're feeling. We totally align with MTSS Tier 1, and after time, you can see students that need to be progressing towards MTS Tier 2 and Tier 3. I'm going to steal these 3 key action items from Mr. Sutton, which is identify, assess, and respond. I think it's genius. I think you should coin it. I want to steal it and wear the t-shirt. So identify, assess, and respond is what this program is about. So this is how our spectrum is regulated. And so the 2 emojis in the middle are when students and teachers are regulated. And the two emojis on to the left and the right are when students and teachers are dysregulated. So you have very low energy thoughts, good energy, and very high energy to the right. And so this is our spectrum. And so this is how we know when students or adults, how we are dysregulated or regulated. A customized video, a castle-aligned video is going to play right after, and it's going to be tailor-made to help the student regulate. It's going to take them through some breathing exercises. It's going to have them maybe listen, so it could be habit forming. And so before a student responds or the behavior or anything manifests in the classroom, we will have formed that habit to help them self-regulate. Those of you who are my middle school folks, you know the frontal lobe development and the decision making is something that we work on daily, even as adults get to 25. That's males, so I'll pick on myself. But getting the world to self-regulate is huge, huge. Road rage is a prime example. Before somebody cuts you off, you want to do a dragon breathing exercise before you respond. Same way. And so we need our students, with all we have with pediatric vaccinations, with the pandemic, this is the unspoken pandemic, is mental wellness. And so we need to address that. Really quick, we do have skills, and so the skills are castle aligned, and the skills I talked about is the self-regulation skills, and they're made to do with ease. And over time, we want our students to develop that skill to self-regulate. Next slide, please. So habit forming, 1 to 3 minutes. The entire app takes 1 to 3 minutes to do completely, and you're done. It's tailored specifically for students, and it is pre-K through 12 aligned. And so the videos are also aligned for adults as well. And so we know teachers are, there's a teacher shortage across the nation. And no, I've had teachers walk off the job frustrated, although they have mentor teachers. We need to be assessing how our teachers are doing mentally as well, emotionally and socially as well, because we know they are the leaders of the classroom, and the teachers are the leader and students are the followers. Sometimes those students tend to take on the emotion and the heaviness of the teachers as well. So this is a systemic approach. We'll skip. I'm going to give you a quick demo. So we'll skip to the next slide. Real-time feedback. Counselors and social workers can set real-time feedback. So if they want to say they want to be alerted if a student, if Darren Kennedy is angry, they can set that alert and they can be notified right on the spot. If he's anxious, if he's hungry, you can set alerts for students just for about anything, and you can be alerted, and that notification is pushed right to your email. We have a high-level data reporting tool. Next slide, please. So our data really gives teachers real-time feedback. They can identify, here we go again, assess and respond right on the spot before the day happens. There is a text box, and so the teacher can also respond to the teacher, to the student in real time to say, hey, let's talk after third period, come see me after lunch. Students can take this as many times as they want before they get on the bus, after lunch, after a traumatic experience. You can get in this as many times as you want. And we'll talk about teachers having access to the videos as well. Next slide. So this is awesome sauce right here. Tailor educated PD. So if you have a teacher who has a class and his or her responses that her class is predominantly angry, a licensed clinician is going to come on and the video will play 30 seconds to 3 minutes, helping the teacher to manage an angry classroom, manage students with anger. And so in my pre-service teaching, I didn't get a lot on how to work with mental health or identify mental health. And so in your pre-service teaching, you don't really get it. You might have one course on behavior, and then you're thrown into the fire. And so, which leads to teachers leaving the profession, right? So we have tailored PD. We can track your PD to see what your district needs the most, and maybe you can turn that into an in-service. Maybe it's dealing with students with anxiety, dealing with students with anger. There's a hungry, there's sick, there's injured. There's a lot of information that you get in real time. Next slide, please. All of the videos are CASEL aligned. They're filtered by age. They're filtered by skill. They're filtered by mood. The teachers can access them at any time. They can do it as a do now. It meets them in real time. Teachers can select the activities with their lessons. They can even select the voiceovers. There's voice artists. There's diversity within the voice artists. And teachers can use these videos how they see fit at any time. Next slide, please. Here's a quick counselor view. Counselors can set alerts. As a former principal, I would say, hey, who are the students we are working with? How are we identifying them? Are they in RTI 1? Are they in MTSS? Are they seeing the counselor? Have we had an intervention meeting? Are we referring to mental health? How are we helping this student holistically? And so counselors or social workers can go right to this app and say, hey, Dr. Kennedy, here's this student. I'm gonna have a check-in, a check-out. I'm working with anxiety, working with this student on not eating breakfast on a daily basis. And so we know exactly where students are, so we can put some priorities in place. Our data is very high level, so you can see the trends per school. We have a tempo score. So you can see our data by school, you can see it by student, you can see it by race, by gender, time of day, time of week. Our data outperforms our competitors all day. So you have this data is yours, it's not ours. And the data, I always say data should make you ask the right questions. What do we need to do to help our students move forward so they can be academically successful? So insights, again, is just our high-level data reporting. You can get in and see when is the best time to give benchmark testing for Warren County. Well, on Wednesdays, our students are regulated the most. So maybe we need to give our benchmark. I remember trying to set that, the best time to give our ELA or our math assessment. Why are Mondays, not as good as Friday? So you will be able to see real time how your district is regulated and not regulated. Again, easily tracking tool, high level 10,000 views, drilling down to time of day and number of users. We have a real good correlation report of our students who are using our web-based app over time. The tempo score goes up, and that is where we want students to be. The two emojis in the middle is the optimal zone of learning, and over time, that goes up when students are be able to self-regulate. I'll pause right there to see if you have any questions, or do I need to go right into the live demo? I can do either or.
Well, do you all want to see demo?
I have more curiosity about
You use
a
your mic.
student not want, I have more curiosity about the possibility of a student not wanting to have this kind of evaluation made daily.
Yeah, so we have letters that will go out. We have a fully onboarding team. It is optional, and so we'll work with the district on wording, on letters that are already made up to say that it's totally optional. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I was curious.
So my question is for the videos, for the teachers and PD. So are the library of videos available to the teachers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is there something that goes to the parents?
So the parents, if they would like to see how their child is being assessed, what questions are being asked right now, the teachers can just print off their assessment
Okay.
and send it home.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It is a web-based app. In the future, we do plan on going to Android, iOS, to where it's app-based, but students still can, go to the portal and still just leave it on their home screen on their smartphone, so they still can log in. And they can log, depending on when you want to set it, they can log in 7 days a week. It will work with all of the parameters on if you want them getting in that over the weekend or whatever. So
Because
we
right
work-
now, we're having them log into their Chromebooks, correct? Okay.
Yep. So if they logged into the Chromebooks, the app would immediately be loaded onto the Chromebooks based on your student information system. Okay, I guess we can queue up for our live demo. So this is it. Students come in, teachers would say, hey, everybody get in rhythm. They would get in rhythm. Click get in rhythm. Get myself in rhythm. And what is it like in your head today? So if you double click, you can say clear. Let's go with clear, double click. Or you can respond, how's your energy today? I'm pretty tired, so let's click tired. Drove in on 401. How do you feel today? Maybe a little anxious. I got to present today in front of Warren County, so I'm a little anxious. How does your body feel today? I'm hungry. So if you click hungry, and if you would just write in that text box, no, you're good. I was going to say ready for some steak. But how's your social life going today? And good. And that's it. That, once you're done, that information directly to the teacher. Now the algorithm being built in the back is going to play a video based on how it responded. So you can play the video as well.
And who gets this video? Who's the video to?
The student or the teacher, because teachers can use this as well.
Okay.
No extra charge for teachers. Teachers get it for free.
Okay.
Hi friend, I have a fun activity that you might like to try. If you want, stretch one of your arms out in front of you and pretend that your other hand is a creepy crawly spider. Have your spider start at your hand and lightly walk up your arm. But make sure that your spider is moving all of its legs. Your spider can walk on the front, back, or side of your arm. Once your spider walks up to your neck, maybe have it give a little tickle behind your ear. Stop, spider, that tickles. You can switch your arms and have your other hand become a creepy crawly spider. Maybe your spider chooses a different path this time. Your spider can finish its walk by giving a little tickle behind your ear. Did your spider walk feel good? How was it? Did it tickle? Did it make you smile? It was so fun pretending with you guys today.
So obviously that is a younger video, and so it's pre-K through 12 aligned, but I did say I was anxious. And so as you can see, it is helping me with my anxiety presenting here today, which it just lowered me down, so. So they're pre-K-12 aligned, which is awesome. And then we have heavy reporting to make real-time decisions. So any more questions?
So you did say, I think you,
vid-
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joyce.
Are your videos individualized for each student?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So everybody, that's kind of what I was gonna go into. So everybody won't get, if I said anxiety, I won't get the creepy spider necessarily.
No, ma'am. The videos are designed in two waves, and so two different spectrums. So if you're very high on the spectrum, we probably won't do the creepy crawler because you won't be in the mood to do
Right.
the creepy crawler. So you probably would do a breathing exercise to regulate. But I was, the only one on this spectrum was kind of anxious.
Anxious, right.
Yes, ma'am. So it will be tailor-made based off how you respond.
And does the teacher have to, I know you said the teacher gets all the data sent to her from each student, and the student gets his or her data, but will the teacher have to sit down and look at all of those feelings, or how would it just come directly to her?
So in the PowerPoint, there's a teacher view. It goes right to the teacher, and it'll show all of her students and who's happy, energized.
At one snapshot?
At one snapshot.
Gotcha.
There's also a video where they can play based on the entire class's response. So if you want to
Okay.
regulate the entire class, there's one video for the
Okay.
entire class. Yes, ma'am.
And that's the do now video.
Yeah, well, all the video you can do now, you can do it after lunch. Some
Okay.
people do it before they get on the bus.
All
So
right.
you can do them multiple times a day. Yes, ma'am.
So one of the things that we like about this application is that it does provide the real-time data. So as you said, there's an algorithm behind it. So depending on that student's responses, that determines what video comes up based on those responses. Now, one of the things that we are looking at in our plan is that some of that data goes to actually our counselors as opposed to our teachers. Because at that point, one of the things that we've heard from our teachers is this is too much of
Another
a
assignment.
demand, another
Yeah.
assignment, and the demand on instructional
Yeah.
time. So we can, there's a flexibility, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Kennedy, to look at those 5 questions. I think we can also choose some of the emojis if we want to do 3 questions instead of 5 questions to reduce that time. We do think the 5 questions in 30 seconds to a minute is helpful, but once that data comes in, we can have that data go directly to our counseling staff at that school as opposed to teachers as well, so that then our team of counselors who are a bit more prepared in terms of their professional skills and competencies to address the needs and social emotional needs that we're seeing in students, counselors can then step in, and that allows the teachers to be able to continue moving on with instruction while the counselors step in to address that. Now, we do believe that that might mean more counselors in our buildings, and you may see that reflected in our upcoming budget priorities. But that's the way in which we're looking at or considering strategizing to layer or sort of scaffold our approach to how we're addressing the social emotional needs in our buildings.
Did we
Well,
discuss
what
it?
if you have the students that, teachers that feel like they want to have this information? Because I feel like I would like to know that, so.
No, I mean, we think that's very helpful because as you have more trauma-informed and trauma-responsive teachers, they know, again, what's happening in their classroom and can address and respond. I would say the more serious instances where there is some support needed for students, we can then sort of have that go out to the counselors if there needs to be some sort of intervention, if a student needs to be pulled out from the class or what have you. There's not that interruption to the instructional time, while at the same time we're able to attend to the needs of that student.
Absolutely correct. So teachers can get it, but a teacher can get the live data, but if there's an alert set, if the student is angry, that alert will go right to the counselor. Counselor can pull, that way teacher can focus on instruction time.
I guess my question is, have we kind of gauged any of the teachers to do like a focus group to see if they're interested? Because, as an educator myself, one of my things would be is this is one more thing to do I know you said, you know, you would get the counselors involved, but have we gauged the feeling? I know we need something, but you want to have their buy-in before we buy something. And the other thing is, what's the cost?
Sure. So that's why we're looking at or considering this option.
Right.
We've not done focus groups with all of our teachers. We have done a focus group with our counselors. I met with our counselors and Ms. Austin Kearney, who's here, and we heard from our counselors that the response from our teachers is that the current application we have is a bit more cumbersome and takes more time out of the instructional day. And so we have not had the buy-in that we would like to see from our teachers with the system that we've currently been using. We think that this application addresses the concerns that our teachers have expressed in terms of the time and that sort of thing. So we think this is responding to what we have heard from our teachers. In terms of cost, the other piece that we like about this, you don't oftentimes get the opportunity to pilot an application like this. You either have to commit to a year service or not. We're currently looking at a 90-day, I think we said 90 days, 90-day pilot of this. So we're not committed to any long-term contract. The cost for this is $2-3 a student. And so per student, which is a relatively, I think, inexpensive option compared to others that you see across the market. So we're looking at about $1,500 to do roughly half of our student population here in Warren County Schools on a 90-day basis, and then we'll assess after that if this is something that we want to continue or not.
And you'll include the teachers too, right?
Right. That includes the professional development for teachers, you know, how to implement, so all the training, PD, the data and all is included in that.
It's all included in the cost. Yep.
So is the $2 per student for the pilot?
Yes.
It is?
Yes, that's the
So then
pilot.
what is it after the pilot?
$6 a student
For a year, school year?
for a year.
Yeah, okay.
And that does have wiggle room.
Six,
It starts at $6, so it goes anywhere from 6, but the low extreme is 4. 6 is the high, the low is 4.
what would be the difference between 4 and 6 though?
The number of admin license, so you still get the access to the videos, but the 10,000-foot view, we probably would give it to Mr. Sutton. Give him one high-powered view, and all of that's negotiable, of course.
I'll probably give that to Ms. Austin Kearney.
One other thing I want to say is that it's totally customizable. So if you want one question, if you don't want the videos, if you want the text box turned off, we support whatever you think is going to work for the district. Even if you want other questions such as, do you have 5 adults that you can trust? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you feel safe in the school? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Anything you want to ask, we have customizable check-ins as well.
I would close by saying I don't know if you all had a chance to see the segment on Spectrum News a couple of weeks ago about one of our counselors at Marion Boyd. And if you recall in that segment, she did exactly what this application does. She asked the students, how are you feeling? Tell me where you are in your head. How are you feeling today? How are you physically feeling? And it was first an exercise where she asked, and they would simply raise their hand. Then she, if you remember in that segment, she came back and took a series of handouts and passed those handouts out to every student and asked them to do exactly what this application does, and I was respond to the face or the emoji on this paper that correlates to your feeling. While I was trying to appreciate the work that she was doing, I was a little bit shocked at the fact that we're using a handout to assess the feeling, identify and assess how our students are feeling from a social emotional standpoint. So what this also does, I think, is sort of brings us to the 21st century, if you will, and helps us to take advantage and utilize our technology and do it in a much quicker, by the time you pass this handout out, they've already responded and that data is off to somewhere, and we're still checking off handout, taking the handouts back, and then having to go back and assess those. So
That's
this
true.
essentially does what we already do in many of our classrooms on a daily basis. And so what we like is, again, the daily check-in, because even as she was doing that, and again, this was in that segment, she gets to maybe one classroom a day. So the other students don't get an opportunity to do that. So this allows every classroom, every student on a daily basis to provide a real-time check-in in less than 2 minutes.
I realize you said it might put a little more stress on teachers, but it can be incorporated into the daily instruction, from what I see, you know. And what's your experience on that?
Yeah, so teachers really don't have to do anything but say, get in rhythm, because it will be the way that it's loaded. We load students by how you want them loaded in their SIS. As soon as they pop up on their Chromebooks, they can get in there and do everything and totally not even, the teacher not respond, because if they get in rhythm and watch the videos, the attendance is taken. Teachers, it's built to be the simplicity and low lift for teachers. They really like that. All they have to do is say, get in rhythm.
And I can say one thing, Superintendent Sutton. I think it seems to be a nice program or app, however you would call it. I guess my thought process would be is after you get do those 90 days and look at that data and see how we can measure how effective it was for 90 days to see if that's the direction we want to go in, because it's apparent that it doesn't have to take a lot of time out of classroom instruction. I think it may improve, but we don't know. You know, with the trial of 90 days and discussing with us what the feedback is, the data from it, will help me.
Yes, ma'am. We're going to do a 30-day review. So we're
Okay,
going to
30
give
day.
your data back in 30-day review with the team and
Okay.
whoever we assemble. So you get a 30-day review of the data.
Ms. Austin-Kearney, would you come up? I would say our plan is, again, if we get this implemented by mid-March or late March or the 1st of April, we'll have that 90 days and pretty much use this for the remainder of this school year. That gives us the end of the year and the summer to kind of review, and if we want to move forward, we'll have this in place ready for the new school year starting in August. Again, Ms. Austin-Kearney leads our counseling team and our social emotional learning efforts. She's been able to get in and kind of play with her a little bit, and has also talked with her staff and her team. They've not yet seen this yet, but we've demoed it, and we think it can help go a long ways. Any thoughts or comments you want to?
They're watching you. Tonight, I ask everyone to, who could, to tune in and pay attention to the demonstration tonight. As I was, kind of debriefing with Superintendent Sutton after our initial call with Rhythm, what my thoughts, just preliminary thoughts, are that it is potentially a good opportunity to help our schools start to turn the corner toward being trauma-informed. That it does give real-time information, as Superintendent Sutton indicated. I'm waiting to see what the data has to say, and how I think the critical thing after we have received the data is, what do we do with it?
That's it.
That's the piece.
That's the piece.
And Rhythm doesn't necessarily
Help us with
address
that.
that.
Exactly.
It provides us with good data. But we will have to make some decisions around how we use it, who uses it.
Right.
What happens if a student is triggered?
Right. What are we going to do?
If you're angry, if you start out angry, you admit you're angry, the video might not do it. And so,
Yeah.
laying out the entire strategy for utilizing it, in an optimum manner, and wrapping around it the other supports that will necessarily be in place, including professional development, has been mentioned, so that teachers know what to do, in those kinds of scenarios. So that's all the work that has to happen. after we have piloted, or even maybe while we're piloting it, part of the pilot will show us those areas that we need to shore up in the event that we choose to continue to use it. And what else, what does the data tell us that we also need to focus on?
So the pilot is to what age level? K through 12, a certain group of, do all of them get piloted, each age group? The reason I ask, as a former high school teacher, I can see high school students falsely putting in information.
Or not wanting to use it at all.
Right,
Yeah.
just because of the cuteness of it.
Exactly.
Perhaps is what you're saying.
Yeah, like, oh, watch this, I'm angry. I'm
Right.
angry. Every day I'm angry, watch
Yeah.
this.
Now, so I'll be
Just
I
honest,
mean, it's high school.
Mr. Kennedy will tell you that this is K-12. He and I have gone back and forth a little bit. I think this is probably more age appropriate for our elementary and probably our middle school
definitely.
students. I do not believe that this or any one tool or application is a silver bullet. We think that it's going to take a number of applications or similar things like this to again help us do that, identify, assess, and respond. Because part of the idea around the social emotional learning and MTSS is how we identify the social emotional learning and wellness needs, but we're also providing students with the skills and the competencies to help them self-regulate their behavior and that sort of thing. And so it's these videos and other tools that are available to help give students those skills, competencies.
But is that going to be
and behaviors.
coming from Rhythm, or is that going to be something that we have to do as a district?
Those would be other
We have-
other things like not Rhythm, but perhaps that's stuff we have to do.
Right.
But there are other tools and applications out there that help do that.
And I guess, and I don't want to prolong it, Sims, but I just, in my mind, if we be transparent and we be real, we deal with students who think they're in gangs and want to fight and all that stuff. Maybe because you showed us, about the crawly spider, that's fine for an elementary kid. But what level would that go for a kid who's about to fight? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we.
And how we prevent them from fighting.
So you do have access to all of the videos, and so we respond in two ways again. So if there's anything like that, there are triggers inside the text box as well. So we do have the opportunity for things to be triggered. So anything that says fight, hurt, self-harm, that's you have the ability to be triggered and alerted right away. And that's the respond part that I think Mr. Sutton keeps talking about. So if we didn't use the app, then, we are running down the hall, breaking up the gang fight, and not knowing where it came from, right? So they are age appropriate. And then what I will say are high school use cases, and I'm a former high school principal, one of the things that I think you'd be amazed at is that how they use the text box to talk to counselors, because
Okay.
they know that the counselors
Now, I can see that.
it's
I
a
can see
very
that.
intimate communication, knowing
don't have
that
to
the
talk.
counselor versus coming down to the
Right.
office, or so that's where we get a lot of
I
weight
can
with
see
the
that.
high school. And then I always call it the mad clicker, somebody who's going to keep clicking angry. What that does for
Red
a
flag.
social work, a red flag, but what it does, even if you're gaming the system, it gives me another touch point with the student that I hadn't had. So he's reaching out for help, him or her reaching out for help in some type, shape, form, or fashion. And the responses can't be viewed by other students, so they know that the responses go directly to a teacher or a counselor. So therefore, gaming the system doesn't happen as much, because I'm going to have a one-on-one conversation to say, hey, what's going on?
Thank you.
And I think that the other thing I was thinking about that with the high school student is that it may not be appropriate for all, but we can't not use it because it's going to help some. Because some of them are going to be reaching out. Some of them are on that lower end that will need that, and they will be reaching out. So yeah, you may have a third that don't want to use it, and it may not be appropriate for, but what about those who do need it and who will use it and will reach out?
As long as
So
we can
you're gonna
distinguish
have,
with that.
you're gonna have to, I think you have to gauge that in
Yeah.
that, how do you reach, try to put something in place that everybody has access to. As Vice Chair Lehman said, You know, everybody may not want to be a part of it, and that's okay. But for those who need a tool to reach out, I think we need to put that in place. And some of those are going to be high school students.
I can agree with that, Sims, but if we're paying for every student now and they don't use it, our money is like,
But you don't have to pay for every student. Isn't it a number?
he
We're giving a-
said if we use it for students, we're paying $2 to $3.
Right now, we're just purchasing in this pilot about 750 licenses at the $3 per student.
Right.
So,
That's right
so
now.
we're being more strategic about how we
Right,
deploy
that's
this
just right
resource
now.
and this app, and then over that 3-month trial, we'll get to see again how it's being used, what great, because we'll be strategic about how we put some in the elementary, some in the middle, and be able to get feedback to see
Right.
how our students are
Yeah.
using it, which students tend to use it. Students won't be required to use it. It is optional with, parental permission, consent. But we hope that it's simple enough, quick enough, that most students will want to use it. And again, it provides that opportunity for them to, again, respond to us in ways that they don't normally do, and provides teachers, again, as he said, Mr. Kennedy said, that touch point to reach out to those students.
Yeah.
I think you'll be amazed on what you'll get, the feedback you get back from students, because we kind of assume we know what's going on, and we really know, but there's a lot more
Yeah.
things going on. But we support the vision of how you want to use it. Elementary, middle, no high, fine. We support whatever you want to do. We just want to get it in the hands of Warren County so students can begin to get the holistic approach.
Okay.
Okay.
It takes all type of interventions to holistically
Oh, yeah.
support a child.
Okay. Board Member Byrd?
Yes, I'm, one of our counselors shared with us some information at our last meeting. And I think that because of what she shared, will probably open the door even more for other students
That's right.
who have similar problems, but they're not speaking out at this particular time. And I think it would be very beneficial for, because we will find out more kids are really having issues before they even get to school.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
while they're in school.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe travel.
Okay, next on our agenda is action item for an overnight field trip for the high school robotics team. Are you presenting it? Oh,
Mr. Harold, you coming up? Okay. This is our high school robotics team led by Mr. Stanley Harrell. There are two, I think these first two requests are coming from Mr. Harrell and some opportunities for our robotics team to participate in the first robotics competition. So, Mr. Harrell, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
The first one is the date, having the request for overnight field trip and activity bus for March the 11th through the 13th. And that is to ECU, Pitt County, what we call the first robotics competition that's taking place there in Greenville, North Carolina. And then our second one is 3/25 through the 27th. Each one of these is going to take, and this one was taking place in Guilford County, first robotics competition at the East Guilford High School in Gibsonville, North Carolina, primarily. As you can see, basically on that. One of the things is to make sure is that the students are scheduled to participate in the first robotics. And one of the things here is I didn't have the opportunity when I wrote this up because First Robotics of North Carolina had not produced the district events. If you need a copy of our district events, I'll pass this along to you. You will see exactly how extensive the day is. We go up on a Friday, and they will start into the pits at 5. They go from 5 to 10 p.m. on that Friday evening. Then they get up that Saturday morning, be back in the pits at 8 o'clock, where they go in and have the pits and have the practice sessions, opening rounds, and everything else that they need to do, have the opening ceremonies, go through the qualifying matches that is taking place on Saturday, then have their lunch, come back and do some more qualifying between 2 and 7 p.m. on that Saturday day. At 8 p.m., the pits will close on Saturday. Then we leave the pits, probably go and have something to eat, go back and go to the hotel, get up again, and pits are open at 8 a.m. that Sunday morning. Again, have some opening ceremonies, have some more qualifying matches. Then we have what we call the alliance selection. Okay. Usually it's a blue alliance and a red alliance. Then they'll have their lunch. Then they'll enter into what we call our playoff matches. Then they have the award ceremony. And then the pits will close at 6:30 on that Sunday afternoon. We will return back and hopefully be back by 9 p.m. We'll probably have a stop for dinner based on that. So these are the two primary trips that we have set up because those are the two primary competitions that we have at this point in time. We have these two competitions in order to qualify for the state. And right now, we have not set up anything for the state because we haven't qualified for it. I would probably have to come and stand before you again for the state. Okay. Usually the state will probably take place in April, early part of April. And that is usually at Campbell University. So, I am requesting that we have this overnight field trip and the activity bus because of one of the things is the competition schedule. If you look at it, it is very tight and very early starting. Okay. Now, we can probably try to do it in the day trips, but that's a lot of traveling. A lot of leaving probably here at 6 and 5:30 in the morning. They'll probably be wasted by the time they get there.
So I guess my only question, Mr. Harold, is you've got 16 kids going and are you counting the bus driver as one of your chaperones? So you only have 2 staff going with the 16 students?
Yes. The bus driver is not counted as part of the staff.
Okay.
It'd be me and another individual.
Okay. What's the ratio of male and female?
It's almost half, about 1 to 1.
Okay. And one of your chaperones is a female?
Yes.
Okay.
The other chaperone, in fact, is Miss Brenda Bullock.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
She's already accepted, and she has also now accepted the second coaching and mentorship.
That's good.
Because our other individual, he had to leave out for other reasons.
This is our first time competing in this competition?
No. We competed
No.
way back. We started, I think, in 2016 was our first for the high school. 2016-17 season. And we competed every year since, except for last year. We did not compete because of COVID situations.
Is this team comprised of all 3 high schools?
Yes, comprised of all 3 high schools.
How did you do on the last competition?
We did pretty well. We did not we did not qualify for the state, but we did not come in last in the state either. I think we came in, out of all of them, probably 10th up from that.
Oh, awesome.
But you see, one of the things is that I know a lot of people are into the competitive edge of it, and I look beyond that. I'm looking at this as an opportunity for our young people.
That's right.
The ability
Good
to
experience,
compete,
yeah.
not only compete, because see, the alliances that are set up, the blue and the red alliances is set up for a reason. That's why FIRST does it. Because there isn't a one-team winner that comes out of the competition. Your alliance wins, and that's usually a 3-team. And I like the opportunity for these individuals to have that opportunity to go out there and to learn from other students.
It's a great experience.
Yes. They can also see that what they have is not too much different from what the other teams have.
That's right.
Now, some of those teams got some expensive equipment and got all of the fancy, whatnots. But we take it, use what we have, and develop what we have, and compete to the best of our abilities. And, a lot of individuals will look at it and say, well, yeah, that's the easy way out. No, it's not the easy way out. It's just the way out. One of the things is that I'm trying to instill in the young people the engineering process. And part of that engineering process is you will fail. It's what you do with that failure. And these young people, I have been impressed with them because I've got emotional. I don't know if some of you remember early in the board meetings and stuff, and that we used to have the awards ceremonies.
Yep.
And I got choked up because I thought about these young people that I know where they came from. I know what they can do. And I am pushing for them on a daily basis to at least have that opportunity. Because the one thing is you can't leave Warren County and say that you didn't have that opportunity. I want them to have it, and they deserve to have that opportunity.
Well, Mr. Harrell, we hope to see you back here. Which means
I
you
hope
qualify for the state, so we hope to see you back. We're asking for the board's approval on both of these trips to give our students the opportunity to compete, but also take part in more additional opportunities such as this to help them learn more about engineering and the fields in STEM. It aligns with the curriculum, but also providing, again, our students opportunities to see things beyond Warren County schools and Warren County. So your request, we request your approval.
I have just one, can I have one? The account code is a number that I'm assuming comes from your budget?
Yes.
And so this is, no student pays anything, it's all?
Students aren't paying for anything except for their own meals. And in some cases, I have to pay for some of the meals too, if need be. But we don't take any money from the students. And one of the things is that my predecessor and I, when we first started having this, we looked at it and said that a lot of teams get into having their students going out begging for money, what they call fundraising. That's all good. But that was not our primary goal or our belief. For them to take the time out of going out and raising money in that sense. And that's the reason why we went ahead and decided to take it from our budget. We had it set up in our budget, so we utilize it.
Okay. My one question would be, did you have any problems getting any students to go being this weekend, being the last weekend of their spring break?
No.
Okay.
Some of them looked at it, didn't say anything to me about it. We would probably come in on that Friday anyhow. But I might have a little extra surprise for them. I might try to bring them in on a little earlier Wednesday or Thursday to try to do some things.
Okay.
To set up. But our primary thing is we will let them come in on that Friday and leave out and be back Sunday night.
Okay.
When I looked at the schedule, I said, we can either go to Pitt County or we can go to Asheville. And I said, oh, no, I'm not going to Asheville. Not at this time.
Right.
But,
Okay.
so that's the reason why I said we have 2 events. Each team will participate in 2 events to qualify for the states. And then if you qualify at the state, then you can move on to Houston, to the national.
Okay. All right. Well, we're
That's
going to look
great.
forward to that. Okay. I call for a motion to approve the overnight trip for the high schools to attend the robotics competition in Pitt County.
And Guilford, right? You're asking for both of them?
Right, we haven't gone over Gifford yet, though,
Oh, I thought he
I'm
just
a-
asked for both of them.
It's both of them at the same time?
because I assume he has something else he's
Individually,
going to talk about with Gifford.
It's
there-
individual.
You want both of them?
They're listed as 2 items on your
It's
agenda,
two,
so
right.
if you just vote on each one, he's addressed both of them.
Yeah. So, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the attached overnight trip requests.
Second?
So we're doing both? Did you say we're doing both together?
So the first would be the
It's the
overnight
pick.
field
Right.
trip request to ECU to
Okay.
Greenville.
That's what I thought.
It's a
Motion
mix.
has been properly made by Board Member Tally Brain, second by Board Member Byrd, that we approve the overnight trip for East Carolina for the robotics trip. Question? Hearing none. Would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
The second is a request for the team to attend the Guilford County Robotics Competition in Gibsonville, North Carolina.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the overnight field trip request to Guilford County.
I second.
Motion's been properly made by Board Member Long, second by Board Member Tally Brain, that we approve the overnight trip for the robotics team to Guilford County. Any questions? Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Good luck, Mr. Harrell.
Well, thank you so very much. Y'all have a wonderful night. I got a 2-hour trip home, so.
I know you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Howard, we
Thank you.
sure
Be
do
safe.
appreciate you, I
Yes.
tell you. You've been here a long time with us, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the overnight trip for the Jrotc Space Force.
Yes, ma'am. So the Colonel Page and those could not be here tonight. I'll be presenting this, but the Space Force, JROTC, is requesting permission to travel to Washington, D.C. This trip would involve them making stops at the White House and the U.S. Capitol, but the more salient parts of the trip include stops to the African American Air and Space Museum, as well as Bowling Air Force Base and Arlington Cemetery. Their hope is to instill in the students knowledge and information about the role of air power, both in World War II, as well as knowing the structure of the 3 branches of government, and looking at various military operations. The trip will involve about 60 students. I think they do have a cost of $50 per student, but again, we'll make sure that no student is left out in terms of any financial obligation, that would be covered if students can't take care of that. And this request is coming from Colonel Theodore Page, as well as Principal Dr. Smith at Warren County High School.
This is not an overnight trip, so is this because it's out of the state that these are approval?
I think they're calling it an overnight trip because they're leaving in the middle of the night. They're leaving like 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Any question? I call for a motion to approve the overnight trip for the Space Cadets.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the overnight trip for the ROTC cadets.
Space
Second.
Force. Motion's been properly made by Board Member Tally Brain, second by Board Member Byrd, that we approve the overnight trip for the Space ROTC to Washington, D.C. Discussion? Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Next, we have the fall policy updates.
Good
By
evening.
Dr. Whitaker.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And so what we have for recommendation for your approval are the fall policy updates for 2021. I would like to note that we are recommending one additional change that's not reflected on the board's copy, which is the removal of the reference to the school system's established school reassignment window, and that is actually located in policy 4150, section C, 1. Because there is no such window. So that is the only update or change that we're proposing for the recommendation of the policies.
So Board, you reviewed these policies a couple of meetings ago and approved this set of policy updates on first reading. We then at a subsequent work session went through each of the sections and by committee of the whole, you reviewed each of these sections, and so we're bringing this to you for final approval on second reading.
Any questions from anyone? Discussion?
No.
We need to wait for Ebony. We need to wait for Ebony to come back. Do we need to wait for Ebony to come back?
I'm sorry. Should we wait until she returns? Should we wait until board member returns to make a vote?
You may wish to briefly recess so that the final board member can come back, if you like, before voting.
Okay. Okay. We'll take a 5-minute recess as we wait for her to return, for Board Member Tyler Brown to return. Okay. All right, at this time, I call for a motion to approve the fall policy updates as second read.
Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 2021 fall policy updates as a second read.
Oh,
And just to be clear, this is to approve the policy updates as amended by Dr. Whitaker just now.
okay.
Okay, she did add an amendment.
Yep, so I think the motion could be for approval on second reading, including the brief amendment Dr. Whitaker included today.
Madam Chair, I'd like to approve the 2021 fall policy updates as a second read, along with the amendment that was made by the presenter.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been properly made by Board Member Long, second by Vice Chair Lehman, that we approve the 2021 fall policy updates as second read as amended by Dr. Whitaker. Any questions? Discussion? Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Whitaker.
Thank you.
Our next action item is the approval of the Warren County Schools Staff Organization Chart, presented by Mr. Sutton.
Thank you, Board Chair Sims. You have before you a draft of our revised organizational chart. You will see here that one we attempted to try to bring some clarity to our organization chart. With this, you'll see, we think, improved lines of both responsibility and accountability. It makes it clearer, I think, to the organization as well as the community, what functions are served and what departments. Here you will see only one additional position added to this from our previous chart. That is the position in Human Resources for the Director of Talent Acquisition and Performance. So even though this may look like it has a few more positions, there's actually only one new position. We do have one new department here, which is a technology department. That department was pulled out from under the Chief Operating Officer and created a new department to help focus on advancing more of our technology initiatives, to include development of a blended learning academy, to help also provide options for our students in a blended learning environment, as well as address some of our alternative learning options. That previous department still had 3 positions, so you'll see just one position really repurposed into a part-time at this point consultant position. So the Chief Technology Officer is really a consulting position that would be half-time instead of a full-time position as the other. So there's really no addition to that department. We just pulled it out to highlight the work that needs to be done over the next 2 or 3 years with respect to increasing our technology presence in the district. So again, all the other positions are positions that were already part of the organization prior to coming, but again, bringing greater alignment, accountability, and responsibility to the position so that it's more clear. And again, we needed to add some capacity to our human resources function. While human resources typically has a number of functions to include recruitment, training, professional development, benefits and compensation, employee relations, and others, our staff was, we think, pretty thin in that area to handle many of the functions that we see even in a smaller organization such as ours. So we believe the addition of one position in that to focus on both talent acquisition and performance management will help us tremendously in terms of additional capacity. Finally, I would say that the way this chart is laid out, it helps us to be able to really to respond and address the changes and the challenges that we see in our organization over the next 2 to 3 years as we deal with recovering from the pandemic to help increase or address learning loss and recovery, to again address the technology needs that we see, but also most importantly to improve academics and support school improvement while at the same time maintaining efficient operations and more efficient and effective communication, particularly with our community, with our students and parents. You see earlier that the Chief Communication and Engagement Officer position was added earlier in the year. That position has been an existing one and was one that the district had years ago in the form of a public information officer. Now we see more of a need to communicate directly with our media. So this includes internal and external communications, but it also helps to address social media. We know a lot of our parents and students engage in social media, and this is a further strategy to help improve and increase community and family engagement in our district. So this position not only addresses the internal and external media relations, but family and community engagement, as well as community relations. There's a significant role to play in building and continuing to further partnerships and collaborations within the collaboration within the community. So again, all these positions are ones that were already part of our existing structure with the addition of one new position, and so open it up for any questions and discussions, and ultimately seek your approval.
Are there any questions from board members?
I don't have any.
No. I don't have a question, but I would like to make note of the coordinator for the arts in the center. I'm really excited about that position and what that means for the county and for particularly the students and the opportunities that will avail them as a result of having that kind of centralized position with making sure the arts happen in our schools.
I apologize for that. You're right. There are two positions that are new. The arts coordinator position is a new position as well, along with the talent acquisition and performance. But this is to help us bring more of a intentional focus on the arts and arts education in our school. I know you can appreciate that, Vice Chair Lehman, as a former arts teacher, but certainly we think that arts will play a critical role in helping to also improve student performance, student engagement, and as extracurricular activities like athletics and sports, there are many students that come to school just to participate in the arts. But again, if we can get them there and get them excited and energized and enthused about something, that allows us the opportunity to continue to put other things into their heads and minds as well. So we do think that this is a key role to focus on improving arts education in our district. So I stand corrected that there are two new positions as part of this chart, not just one. Thank you for that.
Okay, if there's no questions, I call for a motion to approve the organization chart.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve Warren County Schools Staff Organizational Chart.
Second.
Motion's been properly made by Vice Chair Lehman, second by Board Member Long, that we approve the Warren County Schools Staff Organizational Chart. Any question? Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Our next action item is the in-kind donation and fundraiser.
Yes, so in this item, you have two items for approval. One is an in-kind donation from Girl Scout Troop 2314. I think that's Georgia Pierce. As a show of love and support during the pandemic, they are donating $300 worth of Girl Scout cookies to our elementary schools, for 60 Northside K-8 staff members. So Girl Scout cookies are being donated to Northside for our staff members, and the estimated value of this in-kind contribution is $300. The second item for your approval is a fish dinner fundraiser for the Air Force Jrotc. I believe this fundraiser is to help defray the cost of the trip that you just approved to Washington, D.C., but the cadets will be selling fish dinner tickets from 220 Seafood Restaurant over in Henderson, North Carolina. They expect to raise somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000 with this fish fry, so they are asking for approval of a fish fry ticket sale to raise funds for their programs and initiatives. Your approval is requested for both items in this one agenda item. Okay, the total value, I think, of the Girl Scout donation is $300, but it will go to different schools, Northside, Marion Boyd, and Vaughn. So it's going to multiple schools, not just Northside. But it is a donation from the local Girl Scout troop, 2314, to donate Girl Scout cookies. The value of this contribution will not exceed, does not exceed $300 for each school.
Exactly.
Okay.
Correct.
I just had a question. I see that the contact person is Ms. Pierce, and the donors was Always in Bloom.
No. So the actual donations were, for Northside is Claude O'Hagan, for Marion Board is A&S Pest Control, and for Vaughn is Ray and Maggie King Harris.
Okay, so this is not correct on this form.
Right.
It's not there.
I have the donation letter that was sent by Commissioner Pierce to me. Apparently she just sent she filled out one donation form and sent it in, which is what she gave to Ms. Dunbar. But then they decided that they wanted each of the elementary schools, all the staff at each of the elementary schools to get a box of cookies. And so she sent me the letter that would reflect that each of the teachers at all of the elementary schools would get it. And the letter that she sent me indicates who was giving the donation to each of the schools.
Does that make it clear? Yeah.
We just need to add the letter, that's all. We just, when we make the motion, that we accept that letter that you read.
Okay.
Just read.
Okay.
So Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the donation and fundraisers and also add the attached letter that was sent to our board chair.
Okay.
Is that
Do we
okay?
have to do them separately? Do we do the donation separately and then the fish? I think so. That's what he
I
just
think
said.
we can do one. Yeah. The question was, did we need to do them separately? But I think it's just.
I think it's just
I
one
think
is
it's just one.
I think one motion is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Mhm.
He just needs a second.
Okay.
Second?
Motion's been properly made by Board Member Tally Brain, second by Board Member Byrd, that we accept the in-kind donation for the elementary schools. Any question?
And the fish.
Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it, motion carries. And I'll forward this to Ms. Pettaway.
Very nice.
Yes, thank you very much to the local businesses that made this donation. I'm sure all of our staff will be very excited about
Yes.
this. We
What-
appreciate the
What day
offer.
would they receive
Why
the
don't you
cookies,
repeat
so
that
I know?
Did they come by?
Listen, can you repeat those donors again, please?
Yes, in fact, let me just read the letter if you don't mind. Says donation, local businesses have donated Girl Scout cookies to support Troop 2314, based out of Marion Board, to staff members who have shown great patience and kindness to our youngest students this academic year while returning back to in-person learning. For that, we say thank you with a box of Girl Scout cookies. Total value not to exceed $300 for each school. Northside K-8 donation from Always in Bloom Garden Center, Claude O'Hagan. Marion Board donation from A&S Pest Control, John Earl Austin. Vaughn donation from Comforts of Home Health Care Agency, Ray and Maggie King Harris. Thank you for your consideration, Jennifer J. Pierce, parent of Girl Scout Troop, Georgia Pierce.
Very nice.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So thank you, Commissioner Pierce and Georgia. We appreciate that, as well as the contributors. Next, we have a fundraising request from Warren County High, the Air Force ROTC, the Space Cadet, Air Force ROTC, Space Cadet ROTC. Cadet Corps will be selling fish dinners at 220 Seafood. Say it again? Oh, okay. Mr. Seddon said we've already taken care of both motions, both of those, no problem. But, just so we know, it's March, the length of fundraisers is the 1st through the 21st. Please make sure you see them and support this fundraiser so that they can have enough money for, I'm sure this is for their trip to DC. So please make sure you see them and get you a ticket to get you a fish plate. Okay. Next, I ask for a motion to move into a closed session.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we convene into closed session for.
It's on the
Oh,
screen.
goodness. See, now I don't know what's in there. For legal matters? Thank you. Okay, let me go up here. I'm sorry. I thought I was ready, and I'm not. That we convene in closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11, A5, and A6 to prevent the disclosure of confidential personnel information and student information per General Statute 115C-319 and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, 20 U.S.C. General Statute 1232G, and to consult with the board attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to 143-318.11A3.
A second.
Motion's been properly made by Vice Chair Lehman, second by Board Member Long, that we convene into closed session. Question? Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. We will convene into closed session at 7:55. We're back in the open session now. At this time, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn our meeting.
Second.
Motion's been properly made by Board Member Tally Brain, second by Board Member Long, that we adjourn tonight's meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.